Welcome into today's video, everybody. Welcome in. We have a cool one today, slightly different because obviously these aren't brand new. These are a new sculpt which has come out, the new Howling Banshees, but they came out last year, and I've picked them up recently because I've started to expand my Drukhari into a little bit of the craft worlds. So I've picked these ones up, and what I'm doing is sort of to prepare to go with a Ynnari sort of style force, or if I want to do some Eldar but keep them within the style, because I really do like my where are they? I really do like my Drukhari look, like a dark red, and they're all kind of based around birds, so they've got lots of bird things going on. I do like them. I think they look fantastic. So what I'm doing, and I've got a lot of them as well, so what I'm doing is I'm slowly adding in some of the Drukhari themes into some of the other models. So we've got the Guardians. They're all very easy. They're a dead simple. Come on, focus. There we go. They're a really simple, like just a head swap and things and weapon swaps. And because everything seems to be compatible within the Eldar, there's all sorts of like easy swaps you can do, even down to things like the Autarch. Just stick those scourge wings back on. There we go. Even down to the Autarch. As you can see, we can use the scourge wings for the Autarch, and we've given him a succubus glaive there as well, just to kind of tie him in a little bit further. And then the last of the Exarchs, sorry, not the Exarchs, I've added a few more little bits onto the Dark Reapers as well, and we've also kind of just swapped over some things on the Shining Spears to try to get all of that all sorted out as well. So it's a lot of fun, kind of just, well, basically just really simple kit bashing, and it is really simple kit bashing. So one of the things that I wanted to do with the Howling Banshees is see if we can kind of do the same thing. Now there's a very simple, well, there's a few different avenues that I think we could probably go with these, and it's either going to be, I think, use witches' torsos and legs, use these and put the Howling Banshees wings and heads on, arms and heads on, or use the Howling Banshees a little bit more, use this kit a little bit more, swap the blades out for a little bit more of a Drukhari blade, and use Hellion heads maybe, because the Hellion heads have the big screaming mask, if you like. So it's an interesting couple of avenues that we can go. So we'll have a quick look at the sprue itself. The new Eldar that came out, as same with the Dark Reapers as well, all the new Aspect Warriors and everything that have come out recently are still absolutely fantastic. They've kept a lot of the style and aesthetic as they used to have. I think Eldar are one of the only Rangers, in my opinion, that had such a strong aesthetic right at the beginning that they've not really changed much. Like the new Guardians are very much just the same as the old Guardians, just with like modern day clarity in the details and things, and a little bit finer in scale. But these ones are really nice. Now, one thing that's really good about these is we get some heads which are bare, that just have the mask on. So if I don't want to use the Hellions, then I can use these. We'll just zoom in so you can see these. Having a bit of trouble with focus today on the camera. So we can use these heads, and then the hair fits on the back of these. So we could use these. Now, one of the things that I do want to try and do is see if I can get the hair fitting on the back of a Hellion, because that just kind of pushes it even further towards Drukhari. But these are really nice models, really nice sculpts. They're probably one of my favourite of the new Aspect Warriors. I've got the Shining Spears, I've got these, I've got the Dark Reapers. I wonder what next one is going to be. What is the next Aspect Warrior to be resculpted and redone? But these are fantastically nice. Like the detail around this sort of stuff is absolutely incredible. And the new shuriken pistols and cannons and everything are a lot more finer. They don't look quite as chunky as they used to do. Obviously, back in the 90s and early 2000s, the plastic technology wasn't quite as robust as this, so we couldn't do quite as detailed and fine casts, but the blades are really nice as well. I'm I'm really not sure whether I want to change the blades, because the original idea was to change them for a little bit more of a Drukhari looking blade. I mean, just as a quick one, there's a bit more of a Drukhari curved blade. I mean, I know that's the Husk blade from the Archon, but all the power swords as well have got that little bit of a curve on. And the cool thing about these is the Exarch gets to wield a Triskele. Where is it? There it is. And that looks just absolutely amazing. So the Exarch is definitely having a Triskele. It's not that great in the rules, but I'm not sure I care. I think I'll probably give him a Triskele and a blade, because the blade, the Howling Banshee blade, is very, very good. I think it's called an Executioner. So that is probably the weapon that you want to go for. And yeah, we're going to build these up. They've got look at the hair on that as well. That's really cool. We can definitely make use of that. Snip that off, because we're not using the helmets. Snip that off and make use of that. It's really, really good. The Howling Banshees themselves come on 28mm bases. So that's the size of the bases for the Howling Banshees. And in terms of instructions, they are actually quite detailed. There's quite a few steps, there's quite a few parts to all of them. It'll be really interesting to see how they all fit together. The heads, for instance, have got three different parts. So yeah, it'll be really nice to see how they all fit together. And like I say, I will probably be using slightly more bare heads. So we'll play around with all of that and see how they fit together. So with that done, that is really cool with the hair coming out. With that done, we're going to have a look and build some of these up. So we'll snip all of this out. I mean, obviously, we're going through and having a look at areas which we need to be careful for clipping. Actually, we're going to clip out the hair first before we clip out the chin, because we don't want to put any stress on these joints here. And if we've got anything else, there's not really a lot of else on here. If you're cutting the Triskele, we cut the blades out before you cut the arm off. And the Exarch bare head is very, very screamy. That's very screamy. There we go. Rah! Very cool. Very cool. Now, the one thing that I need to be aware of when I'm doing the possible swap is to make sure that I'm using a female torso for the witches. This is actually a Cabalite torso, because I wanted to see what it looked like with the full shoulder pads, because witches only have one shoulder pad, Cabalites have two, and I picked the one with the largest the largest spike as well, just so that we can play around and see whether this kind of torso works with the Howling Banshees or not. Anyway, enough chit chat. Let's get some of these clips out and see how they work. Right. we've got everything built up here, and obviously now we're looking at the heads, and I really wanted to get the Hellion heads to fit in. Just kind of having a look at the regular Ynnari heads, I thought we would be able to get the Hellion heads to fit in as well, and just kind of comparing the sizes, as you can see here. They look very, very similar, so you can kind of clip away the vast majority of like the neck, and you can pull off the neck, and the neck needs a little bit more work to. You need to cut a slot into the underside of the head so that it sits on the Howling Banshee neck piece. And then also the head is very, very high. I'm sorry, it's out of focus at the moment, but the head itself is quite high, so you have to knock a little bit of the head out as well. But mainly it's just lots of kind of just careful trimming, trying to find areas which are hitting as you're showing the model up. Here is the cutting the channel out from the neck piece that I was telling you about, and then also just kind of lowering the size of the head, the height of the head, so that it fits underneath the ponytail part of the Howling Banshee head. So that's quite easy, because if you kind of keep going and the head's starting to look like it might get a bit too small, you can kind of cut the ponytail down a little bit anyway. But that's just kind of constantly checking and seeing, and the mask bits on the side also, they come around the side of the face quite a long way, so you can kind of cut those back as well, and just to kind of make sure that you've got a bit more freedom and fitment in there as well. But ultimately it's just kind of trimming and tidying up and kind of smoothing out here. We're just kind of scraping away with a knife. Got fingers together as well. We're not going to slip anywhere here doing this. And then once you've done all that, you get the heads to fit really, really well. The glue that you use will also kind of melt some of this together, and it will fit quite well. And ultimately you kind of get there, and it fits really well, as you can see. Right, so we have some choices. I've built one of the Banshees. I've also got one of the witches here as well. And there's a couple of different directions we can go with this. So we can either just take this off. We can either put the Hellion heads, like I was saying, on the Banshees, or we can put the Banshee heads on the witches. Now, one thing I have done is, as you've been seeing, just making the Hellion head fit inside the Banshee hair, which takes a little bit of effort, and it does fit. It does fit in there absolutely perfectly. Like the scale and interaction of everything within these two Aeldari ranges is absolutely brilliant. It is just currently just tacked on, which is why it's just a little bit further out. However, if we then put that head on a witch, in my opinion, just looks a little bit big, and the witch just doesn't look quite as good. The legs look a little more spindly, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that. However, if you then put it on the Howling Banshee herself, the legs and everything on the Howling Banshee are just a little bit thicker. She's got thick thighs. They're just a little bit thicker, just a little bit heavier, a little more silhouette to them, sort of thing. And I just think they work better. So I think I'm going to stick with going with the Banshees. It would be a little bit of a shame to just get the entire Banshee kit and just use the hair and stick it on witches. Now, the one thing that I am pondering, however, is the swords. Unfortunately, the swords on the Banshee kit are in the right hand, whereas as you can see, all the power swords for Drukhari are all on the left hand. So I'm just having a ponder at the moment on whether it is worth changing some of the swords, and what I would have to end up doing with the swords is cutting the blades off and putting the power blade on that power sword. So that's one option. The other option, which I'm not as much of a fan of, is use the power sword on this side like this, and then put a splinter pistol from the witch kit on the other arm. Now, the only issue with that, or one of the big issues with that, is A, it's a splinter pistol. It's not a shuriken pistol, and B, it hasn't got any armor, so the witches are naked on the arms for the splinter pistol. So there's no armor on the there will be no armor on the right arm then, which I don't think will work as much. So I think what I'm going to do is stick with the shuriken pistol on this arm. Stick with the sword on that arm, and then I will swap out. As nice and as awesome as these swords really do look, they are beautifully slender, absolutely beautifully slender. But as nice as they are, I think I will swap them out for the slightly more angular and pointy Drukhari ones. So that'll be a pretty simple swap. We'll just cut just above the hilt and then glue on the hilt there. But then that will be the Dark Banshees all sorted out. And I really like that head. I think that head looks amazing. Looks absolutely brilliant. So it's going to take a while. As you can see, it took quite a while just to kind of take off all the tiny little bits. And you just kind of eke at it and just take a tiny bit off and see if it fits. Tiny bit off and see where it hits when you kind of mocking it up, and then remove that little bit of material and keep going, and then you can kind of knock it back like that. The plan, however, is to use some of the other heads and make those fit as well. So we've got this one here as well, and then I also have there are some more. Where were they? I think I'd found them on the sprue. Is it on that sprue? Yeah, so it's on this sprue here. So this is the Hellion sprue. So these are all the heads. So there's one more mask head there, if you like. That's got far too much hair to kind of clean off, so I probably won't be using that one. So I will keep using this mask. And then there's this one here as well, which is quite nice, and she's got like really angry teeth. So she looks like she's screaming as well. So we'll clean off the hair and probably use that one as well as, like I was saying, this one here with the balaclava on, because that should look pretty cool on a Howling Banshee as well. So we will remove the hair on that, fit the Banshee hair on, and then that can sit on there and look pretty cool as well. So yeah, I'm really excited about these. Of course, the paint job will tie them all together, tie everything in. So I'm looking forward to getting all those done. So I'll be back in a second. We'll click my fingers, and we should have a few more of these done. Here we go. And as if by magic, they're all done. Here they all are. So we've got that head there, screaming mask again. This one's got a few more dreadlocks on the top. You can see where the glue has kind of hidden and disguised a little bit of the join in there, and then once that's primed and you started painting it, that join will completely vanish. There's a little bit underneath, there's a gap underneath there, but again, these are one of those occasions where I think having them 100% finished, but at like 80-90% quality, is probably better than not having them finished at all and trying to do them to absolutely 100% perfection. They very much kind of get the idea and the look across, and those little bits underneath there you're never going to notice. So it's not like I'm doing these for Golden Demon or anything and I'm trying to be an absolute perfectionist. Yeah, so there's the one with the mask as well. That one's come out really well. Fits underneath the little ponytail very nicely. And you'll also notice here that we have done a very quick blade swap. It's really simple. Just slice off the blade at the hilt and then just stick another one on. So we've done 4 blade swaps. Well, we've actually done 5 blade swaps. I'll show you the last one when we get to the X arc, but here are all the blade swaps. This one was obviously already been primed. This one's from an old model which I kind of ripped apart, but that one's got a regular screaming mask, How many screaming masks? I think we've got one. So they've all got screaming masks apart from the one with the balaclava. And then the Exarch, I wanted to make sure looked a little bit different. So the Exarch doesn't have exactly the same as the Exarch from the actual Howling Banshee kit. So that Exarch doesn't have a mask either. So this Exarch doesn't. So this was the... it's got a few smaller dreadlocks on the top of the head, which will look amazing when they're painted up, because obviously you can blend those in with the rest of the hair and make it look like the dreadlocks are bleeding into the hair, which will look great. I had to give it, as I was saying, had to give it the Drukhari, and then she's got the Executioner blade here, and as you can see, we've swapped the blade out for a Drukhari blade there as well, just to kind of tie it in, and we have some hanging skulls off the back. So they're all based up. We've got a little Urgle skull on her base down there. But I think these are looking really, really cool. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And we're going to get these painted up as well. I might do a painting. Leave a comment down below if you want to see a painting video, painting tutorial on how I paint these ones up. They will be painted up a little bit like my Jane Czar, which I've started. So if anybody has seen the Jane Czar, which I have started, she is a kind of a very, very dark bone, almost a little bit like the Morgan Ra that we've got here. So this kind of dark bone. So they'll be painted up like that, high contrast as usual. And yeah, tune back in for the next video. The next video, I'm definitely going to do some more videos on the kind of the dark Aeldari, if you like, the Ynnari idea, which I've got, where the Drukhari are bleeding into the aesthetic of the Aeldari a little bit, because I'm for the effort that, I mean, these ones have been the hardest of the head swaps, but the effort that it's been taking for some of the head swaps, like these Dark Reaper head swaps, are just super, super simple and straightforward, and I just think they look amazing. So I'm going to do a few more videos on those. Of course, we have the videos on Lilith Hesprex coming. We're going to do a painting video on Lilith Hesprex, and then we have the Inquisitorial Warband as well. We've got painting tutorials for the Inquisitor, as well as some of my Golden Demon work as well. So please, please, please drop me a like and a subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Frussin, and you can catch me on Twitch pretty much every day of the week. I've been streaming an awful lot recently, but it's usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then most Saturdays as well. It's twitch.tv/Chris Frussin, and you can find me on Patreon under the same name as well. Drop any kind of likes and support on there would be massively appreciated. And until the next video, everybody, take care, and I hope you enjoyed the little walk around and lengthy talk on the ideas for the dark Banshees. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.